SK Hynix just priced the biggest US IPO ever by a foreign company, $26.5 billion at $149 per ADR. And Washington is publicly pressuring Samsung and SK Hynix to build memory factories on American soil. I'm Lena, the US bell just rang, Seoul opens in about an hour, and tonight the story is Korean chips, batteries, and solar going global. Let's start with the record. SK Hynix priced its American depository receipts at $149 apiece. That raises roughly $26.5 billion. Bankers say it's the largest US stock sale ever by a foreign company. SK Hynix is the world's second largest memory chip maker and, right now, the dominant supplier of AI high-bandwidth memory that hyperscalers depend on. That HBM leadership is exactly the exposure US institutional buyers have been trying to price for a year. The Nasdaq debut opens a fresh dollar capital channel straight into the AI memory race. It also hands SK Hynix ammunition for HBM capacity, advanced packaging, and possibly the US fab expansion Washington keeps demanding. Because Washington wants more than paper, it wants factories on American soil. On July 9, Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick used a Micron cement pouring ceremony in New York State to name names. He publicly called on Samsung Electronics and SK Hynix to expand their US memory footprints. The backdrop: Micron just committed $250 billion to American memory manufacturing. For the two Korean giants, this lands right during their most consequential capex decisions in a generation. Build in the US or risk watching Micron own the Made in America premium as HBM demand ramps. Story 3: Samsung SDI just won 66% of Korea's first government-backed Grid-ESS auction. Korea awarded 640 megawatt-hours of storage across 32 distribution lines on July 10. Samsung SDI, Korea's prismatic cell battery specialist, claimed 66% of the total capacity. LG Energy Solution, Korea's largest battery maker, took the single biggest operator slot, but SDI dominated the field. For SDI, this is a hard credibility win in home market grid storage exactly as EV cell demand softens and the ESS pivot accelerates. Next up, one Korean company is now the builder behind America's largest renewable complex ever. Hanwha Qcells, the US arm of Hanwha Solutions, is EPC lead on Atlas Energy Park in La Paz County, Arizona. The scale is hard to picture: 14 separate projects sprawled across 63.66 square kilometers of desert. Total capacity: 2.8 gigawatts of solar and 5.7 gigawatt-hours of storage on one campus. That positions Hanwha as the go-to Korean builder for US clean energy megaprojects and a key beneficiary of Made in America solar policy. Between Qcells' Arizona campus and HD Hyundai's swing to profit, Korean solar is quietly having a moment. Now the quick round: 3 earnings prints Seoul will price at the open. SeAH Besteel Holdings, Q1 2026 operating profit surged 72%. That's the group's strongest quarter since the FY 2023 cycle peak. Specialty steel margins are officially exiting the trough. HD Hyundai Energy Solutions swung from operating losses to an 18.2% operating margin, one of the highest among non-Chinese solar makers globally. Revenue nearly doubled as domestic policy support and pre-tariff US demand converged in a single quarter. Hotel Sheila's duty-free arm returned to profit for the first time in roughly 7 quarters. Revenue hit 1.05 trillion won, but the swing came from exiting an unprofitable airport concession, not from a market recovery. 2 labor stories to watch closely tonight. Samsung Electronics' biggest union, roughly 73,000 members, about 57% of the Korean workforce, moved into open conflict on Friday. They're demanding withdrawal of a ruling party bill that would let employers pay part of wages, including performance bonuses, in gift certificates instead of cash. And KakaoBank's 2026 wage talks just collapsed, raising strike risk at Korea's largest internet-only bank. The Gap management offered a bonus pool near 10% of operating profit. The union is demanding 13 to 15%. Also on the tape, Hyundai Motor opened Korea's first privately operated waste-to-hydrogen plant in Cheongju on July 9. It turns sewage sludge into fuel for about 100 cars a day, the commercial debut of Hyundai's circular W2H model. Watch tonight, how Seoul prices the SK Hynix ADR premium and whether Samsung signals a US fab decision at the open. I'm Lena. Full analysis and today's charts are at LineVestnews.com, and you can get this brief in your inbox every morning with LineVest Daily for $2.99 a month. See you tomorrow.